And then this astonishing, between sort of summer of 17 and September 18, for people who haven't followed it, you lost 7 stone. You lost 98 pounds, and I mean, that's about 44 kilos.
Yeah.
I've got this written down. I'm not
thanks
good
for
at this.
remembering. I'm trying to remember that.
And it was since your early 20s, since that you'd been pursuing this really unhealthy lifestyle.
I'd been putting the weight on over 30 years. Occasionally, probably every decade or half decade, having a fad diet for a week or two, and then just slipping right back in and putting a bit more on. And this was the one where I knew I needed to really.
You write very powerfully. Voice seemed to float up from my subconscious. I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Well over 22 stone, the heaviest I'd ever been. Perhaps premature death was an inevitability, though. And you do what I imagine many people will empathise with. Morbid thoughts began to swirl around my head. The prospect of leaving my beloved kids fatherless. This is heavy stuff.
Yeah, it was.
But it's completely sincere. And in many ways, you walk the walk even more impressively than you talk the talk.
Yeah, I mean, it was an overwhelming. It was an overwhelming feeling of, a tiny whisper, a denial of a voice that was a tiny whisper, became a very clear, very loud voice in my head.
Saying, it's time, Tom. Yeah. Enough is enough. If you don't address your weight, you are actually going to die.
Yeah, I thought I was going to die. I didn't want to die. I wanted to live. I wanted to live more than I'd
Kids
ever wanted.
Kids were 12 and 10 at the time?
At the time, yeah. And, there'd been some quite, the worst moment of my life in politics was when we lost Jo Cox. I still think about it now. And, she's left 2 kids. And she got Brendan, of course, but I didn't want to leave my kids. And so I started this health journey. I knew I needed to humiliate myself to get well again. And, and like doing it in public. There's a whole series of conversations about it. And everything became subordinate to that in the end. And actually, it was in the end, it was just a glorious thing. I realised one thing. It was like an assault. I don't think I write this in the book, but I realised that there's a lot of introspection when you're walking around a park at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you're making your tea for the first time in 10 years because you've normally been firing up in a microwave.
Yeah.
I realised that though I was moderately successful in my chosen career, everything I'd done to that point had been a reaction to things. I'd fought against small-town parochialism in Thatcher's 80s and come to London to try and conquer the world. I fought even harder against the sneering metropolitan liberal elites who thought I was some oiky kid from the horse fair, which you'll understand.
I don't know about that.
Well, you'll know, but you'll know the attitudes.
Of course I do, yeah.
I just, at that point, I just thought, for fuck's sake, I don't have to do this anymore. You're 51, you've done all right in politics, you've done some things. From now on in, I want to live for another 51 years, and I want to live a positive and purposeful life. And it was like I was just shedding a very heavy overcoat. It just, went away. And I started making more positive and purposeful decisions. You fail every day in that, of course, but there's more of them.
Yeah.
And great things started to happen. I just got happier. I felt a bit more equilibrium. I could feel moments of joy more of the day. And I kind of, I'd sort of sit in these really hostile meetings, and it was like they were washing over me.